Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is True Crime Tuesday yet again, and today we will be talking about the world's youngest serial killer. Today we will be talking about 8-year-old Amarjeet Sada from India. Alright, so this story takes place in a village in Mashari in Bihar, India, which is a poverty-stricken area comprised of mostly manual laborers who struggle to make both ends meet. Now, although life is a bit tough for the people of this village, it was still a happy community that had big families and a lot of children that played in the streets. One of the biggest families with the most members living in this area was the Sada family. They were just like everyone else in their community. The dads were manual laborers while the wives would usually stay at home and tend to the kids. Now, sometime in 2006, some of their neighbors noticed the sudden disappearance of one of the Sada kids, a 6-year-old little girl. As I have mentioned, all of the kids from the community would spend their time playing outside with one another, which is why everyone knew each other. However, people didn't really ask questions regarding this girl's sudden and unexplained disappearance, since the people of Mashari tend to keep to themselves and they prefer to keep their noses out of other people's business. Not wanting to be rude, members of the community just brushed things off and continued on with their lives, thinking that whatever happened wasn't their business anyway. Now, things started to get a little strange when, just a few months later, one of the Sada girls suddenly disappears again. And this time it was an 8-month-old baby girl, but again, no one asked questions. If the Sada family wanted to share anything with their neighbors, they would, but they never mentioned anything about these disappearances or absences. In fact, once these girls disappeared, they never mentioned or brought them up ever again, or at least not in public. Now, fast forward to the following year, 2007, one of their neighbors left her infant daughter in the local daycare as she had a lot of errands to do, and leaving her baby in someone else's care would make things a lot easier for her. Now, once she was done with everything that she had to do for the day, she came to pick her baby up in the daycare only to find her missing. According to the very negligent staff of the small facility, they didn't really notice anyone take her, and they definitely also didn't seem to even notice that she was gone in the first place. Now, this lost child was a 6-month-old baby girl named Kushboo, and her mother started to frantically look around for her, asking neighbors if they had seen Kushboo or anyone who had possibly taken her. Now, everyone told her the same thing. They hadn't seen Kushboo nor noticed anything strange happen that day, until she bumps into one of the Sadas. This member of the Sada family then tells Kushboo's mother that they might have an idea of what happened, but didn't tell her right away. They reported the baby as missing, and once the authorities arrived, this member of the Sada family then pointed to their 8-year-old nephew, Amarjeet. Now, once the police asked if he knew what happened to Kushboo, he simply replied to them by saying, "Yes, I killed her." Now, at first, the police were getting quite irritated, thinking that this was some sort of joke, until Amarjeet himself led them to an open field, showing them the shallow grave where he buried this poor, defenseless 6-month-old baby girl. Now, according to him, he took her from the daycare without any of the staff noticing, brought her to a secluded area, and started to strangle her. But before she stopped breathing altogether, Amarjeet then picked up a rock and started hitting the 6-month-old Kushboo repeatedly on the head until she stopped crying. He then dug up a shallow grave before throwing her lifeless body in and covering it up as best as he could. This was all done by an 8-year-old boy. The authorities were, of course, mortified of what they had just heard. They took the 8-year-old boy into custody, and while at the police station, he just sat there quietly, smiling at the officers. He even asked them for biscuits because he was getting hungry. Now, upon interviewing him, they found out that he was born in 1998 and was one of many, many kids in the family. His father struggled to make both ends meet as a farm worker, while his mother stayed at home to tend to him and his many siblings. The police also interviewed other members of the Sada family, along with their neighbors who almost had nothing good to say about this little boy. According to them, Amarjeet didn't have the best reputation amongst the community, despite his young age. He was said to be badly behaved and would often get into trouble, and would also get very violent with the other kids. He would also often steal items from the other members of the community, including his relatives. He was a bad kid from an impoverished family. All of the information police were getting didn't seem unusual until one of the neighbors mentioned something quite strange and suspicious: the sudden disappearance of the two Sada girls from the year prior. Now, the authorities then decided to speak with some members of the family again, asking about the two missing girls. And this is when they told the police everything. The 6-year-old girl who first went missing was Amarjeet's 6-year-old cousin. When Amarjeet's uncle and dad came looking for this child, the then 7-year-old Amarjeet simply told them that she was out in the field and that he killed her. So when Amarjeet's 8-month-old sister went missing just a few months later, they were quick to question him. And just like the first time, he immediately admitted to killing his baby sister as well. And just like how he killed Kushboo, he also brought his cousin and his baby sister to a secluded area, began strangling them, then finished them off by beating them on the head and face with rocks. The Sada family knew of this but made a decision to keep this as a family secret in order to protect Amarjeet. He was punished by his family and was educated that what he did was wrong. And they thought that he finally understood that killing was very bad. But he just kept on doing it. Now, at his very young age, he had already killed 3 people: Kushboo, his cousin, and his baby sister. However, the age of criminal responsibility in India is 18, which is why 8-year-old Amarjeet Sada could not be treated as an adult by the criminal justice system. Now, when he was arrested as a juvenile, numerous tests were conducted, and this is when he was officially diagnosed with conduct disorder, which prevented him from distinguishing what was right and wrong. But since Amarjeet couldn't be charged with his crimes, he was then put into a children's home to be treated, and this is where he stayed for the next 10 years, until he turned 18. After that, he was simply released and is living amongst the public. No one really knows what he looks like and where he is now. It is also believed that he changed his name after being released from the children's home. Amarjeet Sada is now 24 years old and is a free man. I have no idea if tests were conducted again before his release. There are no reports deeming him to be safe to be reintegrated back into society at all. Now, there has been a public outcry in their area asking for details and photos of him to be made public. However, this never really happened. Now, all we can do now is hope and pray that he doesn't reoffend ever again, especially now that he has been given a second chance. Imagine if he was able to kill 3 little girls at the age of 8. What can he do now that he is 24? Just thinking about it is terrifying. Personally, I think there's a chance that he had some sort of idea that what he did was wrong, or at least he was questioning it in his mind, because he brought these girls in isolated areas and then buried their bodies afterwards. he was trying to hide his crimes. Maybe he just didn't know how bad it really was, but did have some sense that it wasn't right. Where did he even learn this stuff? He had no access to any form of media, not even TV, not books, not no newspapers even. Where would he learn this from? Now, there were also speculations that an older member of the Sada family had actually committed these murders, and Amarjeet was just used as a scapegoat for all of this. However, the child did proudly admit to what he did. And although it is likely that he was taught or coached on what to say, the police officers believed his confession because it was extremely detailed, and everything that he said he had done was proven by tests conducted on Kushboo post-mortem. I just really hope that the 10 years he spent being treated really worked and helped him. And yeah, that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. As usual, I would love to hear your thoughts on this case. And should there be any other case that you would like for me to cover, please let me know by leaving a comment. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all on my next video.